All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks. My weekly picks in the world of the National Football League. Did not get started on the right foot this week as I picked the New Orleans Saints to hold serve at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And right now, the Jaguars are rolling and it's really tough to get a finger, if you will, on the problems with the Saints. But one thing is for sure, their offense definitely has to get it in gear. But with that said, we have some tremendous action on tap for tomorrow, as well as the Monday night affair. And with that said, here are my picks for week number 7 in this NFL season. Now you got the 3-3 Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Soldier Field to take on the 1-5 Chicago Bears. Both of these teams are going to be going with a backup quarterback tomorrow, but for the Bears, not having Justin Fields is going to hurt them a little bit more than the Raiders not having Jimmy G. You still got Brian Hoyer back there as a veteran quarterback. The Bears are still struggling on offense. And if you're the Raiders, you definitely want to try to find a way to take advantage of that rather. Las Vegas comes into this contest favored by 2.5. I'm going to take the over and I'm going to take the Raiders by the score of 22-17. Now in Indy, you're going to have the 3-3 Colts hosting the 3-2 Cleveland Browns. And of course, excuse me, the Colts know that they won't have the services of rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson for the rest of the season, which means it's in Gardner Minshew that we trust. But for this Cleveland Browns defense, they just continue to flex their muscles like they have all season long. And I think that Browns defense will once again reign supreme tomorrow on the road. And I'm going to take Cleveland by the score of 23-14. Now in Foxborough, you got the 1-5 New England Patriots hosting the 4-2 Buffalo Bills. And oh, how times have changed in the AFC East. As after running things in this division for years, the Patriots are looking up at everybody else. They're the heavy underdogs in this one, and they have still yet to win a game at home at Gillette this season. So many problems with this Patriots team, whereas for the Buffalo Bills, they are trending in the opposite direction. I think Buffalo does not take their foot off of the throttle tomorrow. They know they have an inferior opponent, and they want to go out there and flex their muscles. I think if Buffalo gets a lead early and this defense led by Von Miller can pin their ears back and come after the turnover-prone Mac Jones, it's going to be another long day at Gillette, and you're going to hear the Boo Birds come out once again. Thus, I'm going to take the Bills by the score of 33-13. Now, at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, you're going to have the New York Football Giants with a record of 1-5 hosting the 3-3 Washington Commanders. And of course, after the Giants made the postseason last year, many people, at least in their fan base rather, were hopeful that the Giants could, build off of that, but that has not been the case so far for the Giants. For the Commanders, it hasn't been pretty, but this team is 3-3. But I look at this game right here. Both of these offensive lines have issues, and both of their quarterbacks get sacked a ton. And I think the defenses are going to have an opportunity in this one to pin their ears back and come after the opposing quarterback. You got Tyrod Taylor more than likely going for the Giants as quarterback Daniel Jones is questionable. For this Giants offense, can they find a way to score touchdowns? The Giants have struggled on offense all season long. They got Saquon Barkley back last week, which was huge. But the Giants need to find a way to get some consistency. It's not going to be pretty for either side. Somebody has to win this game, and I'm going to give New York the slightest of slightest edges at home by the score of 20-19. Now, in the NFC South, you're going to have the 3-3 Atlanta Falcons traveling to take on the 3-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers with first place in the division on the line. And the Bucks have not, been playing well per se, but still they're the best of the worst, if you will, for this division. While for the Atlanta Falcons, they cannot win away from home. More importantly, their starting quarterback Desmond Ritter struggles on the road, but he's been struggling at home as of late too, as he's been turnover prone and he's been thrown to the guys in the opposite color jerseys. I think that trend continues. I think this Tampa 2 under head coach Todd Bowles gives Desmond Ritter fits. I think Baker Mayfield and the offense do enough. And I'm going to take Tampa at home by the score of 23-20. Now in Baltimore, you're going to have the 4-2 Ravens hosting the 5-1 Detroit Lions. Yes, I said the 5-1 Detroit Lions. And this is a team that has been doing their thing on the road so far this season as they're undefeated away from Ford Field. But this is going to be their biggest test. This Lions defense going up against Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. And I know that the Ravens have their fair share of injuries right now on the offensive side of the ball. But you still got Lamar Jackson, who is a dynamic playmaker when healthy. For the Lions, what can I say? This team is gaining confidence as the weeks progress. They not only feel like they have what it takes to win the NFC North, they feel like they belong with the big boys of the NFL. But this is going to be a tough test for the Lions. Baltimore comes in as a 3-point favorite. I'm going to take the under, and I'm going to take the Ravens to hold serve at home by the score of 22-20. Now, out at SoFi in Inglewood, you're going to have the 3-2 Steelers, fresh off of their bye, taking on the 3-3 Los Angeles Rams. And for the Rams, it hasn't been pretty, but they've been getting the wins. And now you're going up against a very inconsistent Steelers offense. They're fresh off of their bye. If you're Pittsburgh, you're hopeful that you can get going, but now you're going to have to do it without one of your best players in tight end Pat Fryermuth. That's a very tall task for a young quarterback like Kenny Pickett to get it done on the road against an improving Rams defense. And because of that, I'm going to take LA to hold serve at home by the score of 27-17. Now, up in the Pacific Northwest, you're going to have the 3-2 Seattle Seahawks hosting the 1-5 Arizona Cardinals. And yes, the Cardinals are 1-5, which is where most people expected them to be. But it's one of those where if you're going to beat the Cardinals, you got to go out there and pack a lunch. And I've talked about this in the past. This team is very competitive for rookie head coach Jonathan Gannon. They've been able to put it together for a half, but they haven't been able to put it together consistently for two halves. That's going to be the big thing here. Seattle, they lost a tough one last week on the road to Cincinnati, and I think they want to get back on track and establish their running game and allow their defense to be physical. They're going to have to work for it, but I'm going to take Seattle at home by the score of 24-17. Now you're going to have the 1-5 Denver Broncos set the host to 2-3 Green Bay Packers. And for the Packers, obviously they're looking for the win, and they also want to add to the woes of the Denver Broncos. What can you say? This has not been a good season for the Denver Broncos, especially on the defensive side of the ball, where they have been giving up yards and points at a very alarming rate. I look for Packers head coach Nathaniel Hackett to have a solid game plan to go out there and attack this Broncos defense and put young quarterback Jordan Love in situations where he can go out there and succeed. And I think Green Bay does enough to get the 20-17 win at on the road. Now tomorrow on Arrowhead, big one in the AFC West, as you're going to have the 5-1 Kansas City Chiefs hosting the 2-3 Los Angeles Chargers. And it's the same old song for the Chargers. The Chargers have all of the talent in the world. They look like world beaters, but they find ways to lose games in the clutch. Will the Chargers be able to get over that hump tomorrow against the Chiefs? We got to wait and see. Now, on paper, you can make a very compelling argument to say, hey, the Chargers do have more talent than the Chiefs, which they do, but they don't execute in the clutch. More importantly, the Chargers don't have Patrick Mahomes. Justin Herbert is good, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. Uh, for this Chargers defense, will they be able to slow down Travis Kelsey, Patrick Mahomes' key target in the offense? That's going to be imperative. And then for the Chargers, when they have the ball, they have to find a way to score touchdowns. You're not going to sit up there and beat the Chiefs, especially in their place. If when you have the ball, you got to settle for field goals when you get into scoring position. The Chargers have the talent. Like I said, I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but it's the real deal. But I'm not sure if they're going to be able to overcome the aura, if you will, of the Chiefs and Mahomes at Arrowhead. And because of that, I'm going to take KC at home by the score of 27-24. Now, tomorrow night on Sunday Night Football, and like I said, this could be a Super Bowl preview because both of these teams have the talent to get there. I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles with a record of 5-1 hosting the Miami Dolphins, who also have a record of 5-1. Now, Philadelphia tasted defeat for the first time this season last week as they were upset on the road against the New York Jets. And one thing about this so far for the Eagles, they have not been playing well, but they've been winning. And one thing is for sure, you look at that game last week against the New York Jets, it was about the Jets and their pass rush and being able to not allow quarterback Jalen Hurts to get comfortable back there in that pocket. Will Miami be able to replicate that? We got to wait and see. But I think the other key for this Philadelphia offense, their bread and butter is their run game, in spite of who they have at wide receiver. It's all about their running attack. I think Philadelphia needs to get that going. Now, this Eagles defense is going to be tested with the speed that the Miami Dolphins have. We know what Tyreek Hill can do. And if he gets a half a step, not even a full step on you, but if he gets a half step, he's off to the races. So much talent on this Dolphins team. Like I said, this has the makings of being a Super Bowl preview, but I simply don't see the Philadelphia Eagles losing two consecutive games in a row. And because of that, I'm going to take the Eagles at home tomorrow night by the score of 31-27. And finally, on Monday Night Football, you got the San Francisco 49ers with a record of 5-1, traveling to take on the 2-4 Minnesota Vikings. And for San Francisco, they're looking to get back on track after they tasted defeat last week for the first time, courtesy of the Cleveland Browns. The Niners all of a sudden are banged up slightly, especially on offense, but they still have enough key pieces to get it done, especially against this porous Vikings defense. I expect this Niners defense to pin their ears back and come after Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins, especially being that he's not going to have the services of all pro wide receiver Justin Jefferson. I think the 49ers get back on track, and I think they do it in typical Niner fashion. Thus, I'm going to take San Fran on the road by the score of 31-20. So, folks, those are my picks for week number 7 in this NFL season. And as always, I want to take the time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.